please, help me. But the rancher lifted her up and was frozen. Wild West stories. The sun was low over the wide frontier plains, turning the dry grass gold and the distant rocks orange. On this planet, evenings came with long shadows and a cold wind that could make even a tough rancher feel small under the open sky. Cole Hart moved slowly along the fence line on his horse, Dusty. He was a quiet man, the kind who spoke only when words were needed. His ranch sat far from town, far from gossip, far from trouble. He liked it that way. The world around him felt old, even though it was not. People called it Westgate Ridge, a colony planet built by humans long ago. Some parts of the colony had shiny cities, air vehicles, and bright towers, but out here, life still looked like a story from a different time. Horses were easier than machines in rocky land. Ropes and saddles still worked when power cells failed. A rancher needed strong hands more than fancy tools. Cole checked the fence posts one by one. The north boundary had been acting strange all week. His small sensor beacons had blinked on and off at random, like someone was playing tricks with the signal. It could have been dust storms. It could have been old wiring, or it could have been something else. He did not like something else. He guided Dusty toward a narrow canyon where a beacon stood on a stone pillar. It was a simple device, just a metal pole with a light on top and a small panel for status. Cole stopped and leaned down to look at it. The panel was frosted over. That was odd. The air was cold, but frost like this usually came closer to midnight, not before dark. He wiped the panel with his glove. The light blinked once. Then it went dark again. Cole frowned and opened the small service hatch. The inside looked fine, but the signal wire felt colder than it should. Dusty shifted under him, uneasy. Cole looked up. The wind changed. He heard it then, so faint he almost missed it. "Help me." Cole froze. His hand stayed on the beacon hatch. His eyes scanned the canyon rim and the open plain beyond. There were no travelers out here. No one walked this far in the evening unless they were lost, desperate, or hiding. He turned his horse slowly, listening again. "Please, help me." It came from the rocks to the east, where the canyon opened into a small ridge of broken stone. Cole swallowed. He did not scare easily, but the voice sounded thin, like someone trying to speak through ice.
They rode carefully toward the ridge.
Dusty's ears were pinned forward now. The horse's steps slowed, careful as if he could sense danger. Cole saw something near the base of the rocks. At first, it looked like a pile of pale cloth. Then it moved. Just a little, and he realized it was a person. A young woman lay half against a stone, her body curled tight. Dust and frost crystals clung to her hair and sleeves. Her clothes were not like anything from the nearest settlement. The fabric looked smooth and layered, as if made for travel in cold space, not for this dusty land. Cole slid off his horse and approached slowly. "Hey," he said, gentle but cautious. "Can you hear me?" Her eyes opened. They were a strange gray blue, bright even in the fading light. Her lips trembled. "Please, help me," she whispered again. Cole knelt beside her. She was shaking. Her hands were cold enough that even through his glove he felt the chill. He hesitated. On Westgate Ridge you learned early that not every stranger brought peace. There were smugglers, scavengers, and people who ran from debts. There were also rumors, quiet rumors about sky hunters who came down in silent ships, taking what they wanted and leaving nothing but empty tracks. Cole did not believe in rumors, but he believed in a person freezing alone in the dirt.
He reached for her shoulders to lift her.
The moment his hands touched her, a sharp wave of cold rushed up his arms. It was not normal cold. It felt like a sudden winter inside his bones. Cole's breath caught. His vision blurred for a heartbeat. Then the world changed. He was still kneeling, still holding the woman, but he also saw something else. Quick flashes, like broken pieces of a dream. A dark sky filled with stars. Bright lines of light moving fast. A corridor of silver metal. A door shutting. A voice calling a name he didn't recognize. Fear heavy and pressing, like a hand on the chest. Cole blinked hard. The flashes stopped. He pulled back slightly, stunned. His heart beat fast in his chest. He stared at the woman's face, trying to understand what just happened. She looked at him as if she knew. "Sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to—" "What was that?" Cole asked, his voice rougher now. "Did you do something?" The woman swallowed and tried to sit up, but her strength failed. She winced and fell back. Cole caught her gently so her head did not hit the stone. "I can't explain here," she said, breathless. "Please, just not here." Cole looked around. The shadows were longer now. The cold wind kept moving. He had a sudden feeling that the open land was not as empty as it seemed. He made a decision. "All right," he said. "I'm taking you home." She was lighter than he expected, like someone who hadn't eaten well in a long time. When he held her close, he felt the strange chill again, but weaker now, like the edge of a cold stream instead of a whole flood. He set her on Dusty's back, guiding her into a safe position. Then he mounted behind her, keeping one arm around her so she wouldn't fall. Dusty snorted uneasy, but Cole whispered to him and started toward the ranch. The ride back was quiet except for the wind and the soft sounds of the horse's steps. The woman's head leaned against Cole's chest. She stayed awake, but barely. Her breathing was shallow, and now and then her fingers twitched as if she was fighting sleep. Cole kept his eyes on the horizon. Halfway home, he saw a faint flicker in the sky. Just a blink, high and far, like a star moving the wrong way. The flicker happened again, then vanished. Cole's jaw tightened. He did not like that. He urged Dusty forward faster. The ranch came into view, a sturdy house, a barn, a water tower, and a line of solar panels that fed a small battery bank. Simple, old-fashioned, and reliable. Cole guided Dusty into the yard and dismounted carefully. He carried the woman into the house and laid her on the couch near the heater. The heater was a mix of old and new, part wood stove, part power-assisted warmth. Cole turned it up and watched the woman's skin slowly lose some of its blue-white cold. He poured a small amount of water into a cup and held it near her lips. "Drink," he said. She took a small sip, then another. Her eyes stayed on him. "Thank you," she whispered. Cole nodded, still watching her like someone watches a storm cloud. He wanted to trust her, but he had learned not to trust quickly. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated. "Mara." "Mara," Cole repeated, testing the sound. "Where did you come from?" Mara looked away toward the window. The last light of day showed the empty land outside. "Far," she said quietly. "Not from here." Cole sat in a chair across from her, keeping a respectful distance. "Are you hurt?" "No," she said. Then she paused. "Not like that, just cold and tired." Cole watched her hands. There were faint marks on her wrists, like pale lines under the skin. They did not look like normal tattoos. They seemed to shimmer slightly when the lamplight hit them. He tried not to stare, but he couldn't help noticing. Mara saw his eyes. She pulled her sleeves down. "It's complicated," she said. "Everything is complicated," Cole answered. "But simple truth matters. Are you being chased?" Mara's mouth opened and closed. Her shoulders tightened under the blanket. Cole waited. Finally she nodded once, slow and careful. "Yes," she said. "I'm being hunted." The word hunted sat heavy in the room. Cole did not like it. He lived in a place where people hunted animals for food, yes, but this was different. This had fear inside it. Cole leaned forward slightly. "By who?" Mara shook her head. "Not safe to say." Cole's eyes narrowed. "If you're bringing trouble to my ranch, I need to know what kind. The kind that doesn't stop because you're far away." Cole felt a cold tightness in his stomach. He stood and walked to the window. He looked out across the plain. Everything looked normal. The fence line was dark. The barn was still. No lights in the distance, no vehicles. No footsteps. But he had lived out here long enough to know that quiet could hide things.
He turned back. "Why were you in my canyon?"
Mara swallowed.
"I didn't choose it. I felt..."
Or I was dropped. I don't know. I was trying to run, and then everything went dark. Cole thought about the beacon's frost, the strange flicker in the sky, the vision that had hit him when he touched her. He looked at Mara again. "When I picked you up, I saw things." "You did?" Cole nodded slowly, like a memory that wasn't mine. "I'm sorry, that's part of what I am. I didn't want it to happen." Cole held his silence for a moment. Then he asked, "What are you?" Mara took a shaky breath. "Not a monster," she said quickly. "Not a weapon." "Not on purpose." Cole studied her. She looked frightened, yes, but not cruel. She looked like someone who had been running for too long. Mara's voice dropped to a whisper. "If they find me here, they'll scan everything. They'll take what they want. They won't care about your ranch." Cole's hands curled into fists at his sides. He had built this life with sweat, patience, and stubborn work. He had chosen this quiet place because it was his, and because the rest of the world felt too loud. Now the quiet felt like a thin wall about to break. Mara sat up a little, forcing herself upright. "I won't stay," she said. "As soon as I can stand, I'll go." Cole looked at her. "Where?" Mara's eyes shimmered with fear and something else, hope that tried to rise but didn't fully trust itself. "I don't know," she admitted, "but away from you." Cole took a slow breath. "You can rest tonight," he said. "We'll figure out the morning." Mara blinked. "Why would you help me?" Cole didn't answer right away. He walked to the kitchen, poured himself a cup of coffee, and took a sip that tasted more bitter than usual. Then he looked back at her. "Because leaving someone to freeze isn't who I am," he said. Mara nodded slowly, as if those words mattered more than she expected. Outside, the wind picked up. The fence beacon in the distance blinked once, dim and strange, then went dark again. Mara's shoulders stiffened. She turned her head toward the window. "They're close," she whispered. Cole set his cup down. "How do you know?" "Like cold pressure in the air." Cole listened. He heard nothing but wind, but his instincts, honed by years of storms, broken machines, and lonely nights, told him not to ignore her. He walked to the back room and opened a locked cabinet. Inside were old tools he rarely used, an emergency radio, a compact scanner, and a dusty sidearm he hoped he'd never need. He didn't take it out yet. He just looked at it, then closed the cabinet again. He returned to the living room and kept his voice calm. "Get some rest," he told Mara. "You're safe for now." Mara looked at him, and for a moment her fear softened. "Cole," she said quietly, as if saying his name meant she had already learned it somehow. Cole paused. "How do you know my name?" Mara's eyes widened like she had made a mistake. She swallowed. I heard it." Cole didn't push. Not yet. Mara leaned back, exhausted, and the blanket rose slightly with her breathing. Before her eyes fully closed, she whispered one warning, so soft it almost vanished into the room's warmth. "They will come for me, and for you now." Cole stood in the dim light, staring at the window, watching the empty plains as night fell. And somewhere high above the planet, far beyond what the rancher could see, a silent signal flickered to life, steady, sharp, and hungry, pointing directly at his land. Morning came slowly over the ranch, bringing soft light across the plains. The sky turned from deep blue to pale gold, and long shadows stretched over the fields. Cole had not slept much. He sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee that had gone cold, his eyes moving again and again toward the living room where Mara rested. The night had been quiet on the outside, but not inside his mind. Every sound of wind made him listen harder. Every creak of the house made him stand up and check the windows. Mara stirred just as the sun rose fully. She blinked slowly, looking around as if she had forgotten where she was. When she saw Cole, her shoulders relaxed a little. "You stayed," she said softly. Cole nodded once. "My ranch. I usually stay." She sat up carefully, testing her strength. The color had returned to her face, and the strange cold around her seemed weaker now. "How do you feel?" Cole asked. "Better," she answered. "Still tired, but clearer." Cole stood and walked over, placing a cup of warm tea on the table near her. "Drink this."
It'll help.
For a moment she just held it, feeling the warmth. Her eyes closed briefly as if she had not felt simple comfort like this in a long time. Outside, a low sound rolled across the sky. It was not thunder. Cole turned his head sharply toward the window. The sky looked empty, but the sound stayed, faint and distant. Mara froze. Her fingers tightened around the cup. "They're scanning," she whispered. Cole walked to the door and stepped outside. The air felt heavy, like before a storm. Dust moved slowly across the ground. He looked toward the horizon, searching for movement, but saw nothing. Still, something felt wrong. He returned inside. "You said they're hunting you. Who are they?" Mara hesitated again, but this time she seemed to understand that silence would not help. "They are a group that controls people like me," she said slowly. "They call themselves protectors, but they only protect power." Cole leaned against the wall, listening. "I was raised to help them," she continued. "We were told our abilities would help bring peace between worlds, but I learned something I wasn't meant to learn. After that, I ran." Cole watched her carefully. "What abilities?" "Connection," she said quietly. "When I touch someone, I can feel emotions. Memories sometimes. Not always. Only when it's strong." Cole remembered the vision from yesterday. The stars, the fear, the running. That's what happened when I picked you up, he said. Mara nodded. I'm sorry. I try to control it, but when I'm weak, it slips. Cole crossed his arms. And these hunters, they want you back? Yes, she said. Or they want to stop me from telling anyone what I know. Cole felt tension settle into his shoulders. Then we need to make sure they don't find you, he said. Mara shook her head quickly. You shouldn't be involved. If they come, you should say you found nothing. Cole gave a short breath of air that almost sounded like a laugh. Out here, trouble doesn't ask permission. If they're coming, I'm already involved. Mara looked at him, surprised by his calm acceptance. They spent the next hour moving slowly through the morning routine. Cole showed her the kitchen, the water pump, and where extra blankets were kept. Mara walked carefully, still regaining her strength, but curiosity filled her eyes. She watched everything like it was new, the way sunlight fell through the window, the sound of wind against the barn, the smell of fresh coffee. At one point she stepped outside and stood still, just breathing. It's quiet here, she said. Usually, Cole replied. She smiled faintly. I've never known quiet like this. Before Cole could answer, a sharp alarm beeped from the corner of the yard. One of the small sensor posts flashed red. Cole moved fast, grabbing a handheld scanner from the shelf. Stay inside, he told her. Mara followed anyway, stopping at the doorway. Cole checked the scanner screen. A small signal blinked near the outer fence. Drone, he muttered. What kind? Mara asked. I don't know yet. He walked toward the barn, moving carefully, keeping low. The scanner beeped faster as he approached the fence line. Then he saw it. A small machine hovered above the ground, silent and smooth, its surface reflecting sunlight like glass. It moved slowly back and forth as if searching. Mara gasped softly behind him. They found me. Cole's jaw tightened. He picked up a long metal rod from the barn wall, a simple tool but strong enough to strike. He waited until the drone moved closer, then swung hard. The rod hit the machine with a loud crack. The drone jerked sideways, its light flashing wildly before it dropped to the ground. Silence returned. Cole approached slowly and nudged the machine with his boot. It sparked once, then went still. Mara stepped closer, fear clear in her eyes. That means they know this location now. Nothing visible. But he believed her. They carried the broken drone inside. Cole placed it on the table and studied it. Advanced, he said quietly. Not local tech. They'll send more. Cole rubbed his chin, thinking, then we need a plan. He showed her a small underground room beneath the house. It was built long ago as a storm shelter, reinforced and hidden from basic scans. You can stay here if things get bad, he said. Mara touched the wall gently. You prepared for everything. Cole shrugged. Out here, you learn. They returned upstairs. The day moved slowly, filled with small tasks. Cole fixed equipment while keeping one eye on the horizon. Mara helped where she could, learning quickly, asking questions about ranch life. For a moment, the danger felt far away. But as evening approached, the sky changed. Lines of light streaked across the clouds, faint but fast. The air hummed. Mara's face went pale. They're here. Cole stood beside her, watching as a distant shape appeared high above. Too large to be a normal ship, moving slowly like a dark shadow against the stars. Dusty stomped nervously in the yard. The animals grew restless. Cole felt something shift inside him. Fear was there, yes, but also determination. He turned to Mara. Whatever happens, we face it smart. She nodded, though fear filled her eyes. The ship moved closer, blocking part of the sky. Lights blinked along its edges like cold stars. The ranch, once quiet and forgotten, now stood directly beneath something powerful and unknown. Mara whispered, I didn't want this to reach you. Cole looked at her, steady and calm, despite everything. Sometimes trouble finds you anyway. As darkness fell, the first beam of scanning light touched the ground near the fence, sweeping slowly toward the house. And both of them knew that the peaceful days of the ranch were ending. Night settled over the ranch like a heavy blanket. The sky was darker than usual because the massive ship above blocked part of the stars. A cold beam of light moved slowly across the fields, scanning the land with quiet patience. Cole stood near the window, watching every movement. He felt the same alertness he used to feel during storms, that quiet moment before something strong arrived. Behind him, Mara stood still, her hands pressed together as if she was trying to control her breathing. "They are searching carefully," she whispered. "They won't rush. They always take time." Cole nodded slightly. "Then we use that time." He moved through the house, turning off unnecessary lights. The warm glow faded, leaving only a few dim lamps. Outside, the scanning beam moved closer to the barn, sliding across the ground like a silent river. Dusty kicked nervously in the stable. Mara stepped closer to the window but stayed back from the light. "They can detect energy signatures," she said. "If they scan directly through the house, they might sense me." Cole thought for a moment. "The storm shelter," he said. "It's shielded with old metal layers. Might block their signal." Mara nodded. "It could help." Cole lifted the hidden hatch beneath the floor and guided her down into the underground space. The shelter was simple. Stone walls, metal reinforcement, a small bed, and supplies stored in sealed containers. "Stay here if I tell you," Cole said. Mara looked at him, worry clear in her eyes. "You shouldn't stay up there alone." Cole gave a small shrug. "My ranch. I know every corner." She hesitated, then reached out and touched his arm gently. For a brief moment, warmth passed between them instead of cold. Cole felt a faint echo of her emotions, fear mixed with trust. "Be careful," she said softly. He nodded and climbed back up, closing the hatch behind him. Outside, the scanning beam reached the house. Light moved across the walls, sliding slowly like someone reading a page. Cole stayed still, breathing quietly. A low hum filled the air. Then the beam moved on. Cole released a slow breath. But peace did not last long. A faint mechanical sound came from the direction of the barn. Cole stepped outside and moved into the shadows, keeping low. Two small machines floated near the fence line, their lights blinking as they scanned the ground. They were different from the earlier drone, larger, stronger, moving with purpose. Cole studied them carefully. He knew fighting directly would be risky, but letting them search freely was worse. He moved around the side of the barn and opened an old equipment locker. Inside were tools he rarely used anymore. Signal jammers from early colony days, designed to confuse outdated scanners. He switched one on and placed it behind a stack of metal barrels. The device began to hum quietly. The drones reacted immediately, their lights shifting as they turned toward the false signal. They moved away from the house, drawn toward the barn. Cole allowed himself a small smile. "Old tricks still work," he muttered. But suddenly a sharper sound cut through the air, a deeper engine noise, heavier than the drones. Cole looked up. A dark shape descended slowly from the large ship above, lowering itself toward the plain beyond the ranch. Dust swirled as it landed. "They're sending ground units," Mara's voice came softly through the small communicator he had given her. Cole stepped back into the house and spoke quietly. "Stay hidden." "I can feel them," she replied. "Their presence is strong." Cole checked the windows again. Far across the field, shapes moved, tall figures in dark armor, walking slowly but steadily toward the ranch. Small lights glowed on their shoulders and helmets. He felt his heart beat faster, but his mind stayed calm. He knew this land better than anyone. He moved quickly, setting small traps along paths he knew they would take. Loose boards, sound triggers, old motion alarms. Nothing dangerous, just enough to slow them and reveal their positions. The armored figures reached the outer fence. One of them stopped and scanned the ground with a handheld device. A beam of light flashed and the broken drone from earlier appeared on their display. "They know something happened here," Mara whispered through the communicator. Cole watched as the figures crossed the fence line. They moved carefully, spreading out like hunters surrounding prey. He guided them toward the barn with the signal jammer. One of the figures approached the barrels where the device hummed softly. The moment the figure touched it, sparks jumped. The jammer overloaded, sending a burst of interference into the air. The machines around it flickered, their lights dimming briefly. Cole used the moment to move back toward the house unseen. Inside, he grabbed supplies, water, a flashlight, extra tools. He opened the hatch again and climbed down into the shelter. Mara looked up quickly. "They're close. I know," he said calmly. "We won't stay here long. The shelter will hide you for now, but not forever." She nodded. "There's something I need to tell you." Cole waited. "My abilities, they are stronger when I feel safe," she said slowly. "When I trust someone. That's why the vision happened yesterday." "You weren't afraid of me." Cole rubbed the back of his neck. "I was a little afraid." She gave a small smile. "But you still helped. A loud sound echoed above them, footsteps moving across the floor of the house. Mara's face turned pale. "They're inside," she whispered. Cole listened carefully. Heavy boots moved slowly, searching room by room. Metal clicked softly against furniture. He motioned for silence. The footsteps paused directly above the hatch. Cole felt tension build inside his chest. Seconds passed. Then the steps moved away again. Mara released a shaky breath. "They will keep searching," she said. Cole nodded. "Then we move before they close in." He showed her a hidden tunnel leading from the shelter to an exit near the back field. It was narrow and dusty, built years ago as an emergency escape during severe storms. They moved quietly through it, using only a small light. The air smelled of earth and old metal. When they reached the exit, Cole pushed the hatch open carefully. Night air rushed in. The ranch looked different now. Shadows moving, scanning lights, crossing the ground, armored figures searching near the barn. Mara stepped out beside him. "What now?" she asked. Cole looked toward the open desert beyond the ranch. "We lead them away," he said. "The land is wide. I know places they don't." Mara hesitated. "You're home." Cole glanced back at the house. It stood quiet under the dark sky, but danger surrounded it. "Home isn't just walls," he said. "It's people." Mara looked at him, surprised by the words. Together they moved into the darkness, staying low, heading toward the rocky hills beyond the fields. Behind them, one of the armored figures turned suddenly, its scanner flashing. It had sensed movement. A sharp beam of light cut across the ground. "They saw us," Mara whispered. Cole grabbed her hand and ran. The night filled with movement, footsteps, scanning lights, and the distant hum of machines starting pursuit. But as they disappeared into the desert shadows, Cole felt something stronger than fear. For the first time since the hunters arrived, he felt purpose. Not just protecting his land, but protecting someone who needed him. And somewhere deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning of their real escape. The desert stretched wide and silent under the cold light of distant stars. Cole and Mara ran across rocky ground, their footsteps quick but careful. Behind them, faint beams of light moved back and forth near the ranch, searching the darkness. The hunters had noticed their escape. Cole slowed when they reached a group of tall stone formations. He raised his hand gently, signaling Mara to stop. Both of them stood still, listening. "Only the wind moved through the rocks. They will follow our tracks," Mara whispered. Cole nodded. "Yes."
"But these hills confuse signals. We can use that."
He led her along a narrow path between two tall rocks. The ground changed from soft dust to hard stone, making it harder for scanners to track movement. Cole had walked these hills many times during long rides. He knew which paths curved back, which slopes hid shadows, and where old caves waited quietly. Mara followed closely. Even though she was still tired, she moved with determination now. Fear was still in her eyes, but something stronger had begun to grow. Trust. After a while, they reached a small ridge overlooking the open desert. Cole stopped and looked back. In the distance, small lights moved slowly. The hunters were searching in wide patterns, spreading out like a net. "They're careful," he said quietly. "They always are," Mara answered. Cole turned toward her. "You said before that your abilities were meant to help people understand each other. How?" "I can feel emotions deeply, not just feelings, but memories connected to them. If two people allow it, I can help them understand each other without misunderstanding. That was the purpose." "Before it changed? Changed how?" Cole asked. "The organization wanted control," she said. "They believed if they could guide emotions, they could guide choices. They stopped seeing people as individuals." Cole frowned. "Sounds like they forgot what makes people human." They continued walking until they reached a hidden canyon where old ruins stood, broken walls from an early colony settlement abandoned years ago. The structures were half buried in sand, but one building still stood strong. Cole led her inside. The air felt cooler there, protected from the wind. "We can rest here for a while," he said. Mara sat down slowly against the wall. She closed her eyes briefly, breathing deeply. Cole checked the entrance, then sat across from her. Silence settled between them, calm but heavy. "Why are you helping me?" Mara asked after a moment. Cole thought carefully before answering. "Because leaving someone alone when they're hunted doesn't sit right with me." She studied his face, searching for doubt, but found none. Outside, a faint rumble passed through the sky. The large ship above the planet had moved closer again. "They're tightening the search," she said quietly. Cole nodded. Then we need to do more than hide. Mara looked at him with surprise. What do you mean? You said there might be a way to remove the tracking signal, he said. Some device? Her eyes brightened slightly. Yes, but I don't know if it still works. It was part of the early colony technology, designed to erase signatures and protect settlers from detection. Cole stood up. Where? She pointed toward the deeper part of the canyon. If the records I remember are correct, there should be a control unit buried under the old structures. They moved together through the ruins, searching carefully. Cole used a small scanner from his pack, sweeping it across the ground. After several minutes, the device beeped softly. Here, he said. They cleared away sand and broken stone until a metal panel appeared beneath the dust. Mara brushed her hand over it. The surface lit faintly, recognizing her touch. The panel opened slowly, revealing a small console inside. Mara's hands trembled slightly as she worked. Lights flickered, then glowed steady. It still has power, she said with quiet relief. Cole watched the canyon entrance while she worked. The wind outside carried faint echoes, and once he thought he heard distant footsteps. How long? He asked. Not long, she answered, but I need help. The system needs an emotional anchor, she said. Someone stable. Someone I trust. Otherwise it won't activate fully. Cole looked at her. You mean me? Only if you want to. It might create a connection between us stronger than before. Cole thought about it. The risk was clear, but so was the need. Without removing the signal, they would always be running. He stepped closer. Tell me what to do. Mara reached out, taking his hand gently. The moment their hands touched, warmth spread between them. Cole felt her emotions. Fear, hope, and deep gratitude. But he also felt something else. Calm strength growing between them. The console glowed brighter. Lines of light moved across the panel like flowing water. Outside, a sudden beam of light swept across the canyon entrance. The hunters had arrived. They're here, Cole said. Mara focused harder, her breathing steady despite the danger. Stay with me, she said softly. Cole held her hand firmly. He felt memories brush against his mind again, not overwhelming this time, but gentle, like shared understanding. The console emitted a soft tone. Signal removal beginning, Mara said quietly. Shadows moved across the entrance. The armored figures approached carefully. Cole glanced toward them but did not let go. The console light grew brighter until it filled the room. A pulse of energy moved outward, silent but strong. The lights on the console faded. Mara opened her eyes slowly. It's done. Cole felt a strange lightness in the air, like a storm had passed. Outside, the armored figures paused. Their scanners blinked, confused. Without the signal, they had nothing to track. One by one, the lights outside turned away. The figures began retreating toward the open desert. Mara watched from the doorway, disbelief filling her face. They lost me, she whispered. The large ship above shifted position and slowly began to rise, disappearing into the darkness beyond the clouds. Silence returned to the canyon. Cole released a long breath he had been holding. Mara turned to him, eyes shining with relief. You helped me become free. Cole smiled faintly. Looks like we both survived. The desert felt different now. Not empty, but peaceful. What will you do now? Cole asked. Mara looked toward the horizon where the first light of dawn began to appear. I want to learn what freedom really feels like, she said softly, and maybe help others without fear. Cole nodded. Sounds like a good plan. They returned slowly toward the ranch. When it came into view, parts of it were damaged from the search, broken fences, scattered tools, marks in the dirt, but the house still stood strong. Mara looked at it quietly. I'm sorry for what happened. Things can be rebuilt. They stood together watching the sunrise. Warm light spread across the plains, touching the fields, the barn, and the wide sky above. For the first time since she arrived, Mara looked truly calm. And for the first time in a long while, Cole did not feel alone on his land. The frontier stretched ahead of them, quiet, open, and full of new beginnings.